Hey guys, welcome back. And if you've been watching my previous video, I showed you guys how we can start to introduce the idea of a cold span and how we can start to style our tables that we've already created. Now in this video, I'm going to be showing you a couple of more stylings before moving on to something else. The first kind of styling I'm going to be showing you is how we can change the border size and how we can make that stand out a bit more, which in turn would make your entire table stand out. So this would be really nice for a photo gallery. So let's go ahead and start. The first thing we're going to do is go into our code, and if you remember, we have this here already. What we're going to do is we're going to start to change the table border. Okay, as of now it's only 1 pixel, but what if we were just to make it something like 10 and then save it? Now let's open it up, and as you can see here, the entire border has become a lot thicker, and it's in fact got a kind of like a 3D effect to it. So it's gone from this suddenly to this. Now that we've done this, we can start to also change stuff like the background color of your table. If you remember what we've been doing with our paragraphs and how we've been styling our paragraphs, we're going to be using the same styling attribute to change the background color. So we can type in style is equal to, and in inverted commas we can say background color, and let's change this for example to yellow. Okay, now where we have yellow we'd normally put a hash value because then we can find the particular shade of yellow that we want, but for the purposes of this tutorial I'm just showing you just the plain yellow. Also notice here I've said table border is equal to 10, and then after that there's no comma or anything, it's just a space before I write my style attribute. If I wanted to have another styling attribute, all I'd put is the semicolon and then my next value that I want to change, for example the text color. So if I wanted this to be green, then all I have to do is put the semicolon. There is no semicolon or any commas or anything when you're using two different attributes at all. Now if I save this, open up my hello.html, and as you can see here now, I've changed the whole background color and the text color of my text. So what we've done so far is we've gone from here to here to here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start to manipulate tables so we can make them kind of more so how we want to make them. So a table does not just necessarily have to be a rectangular block effectively. It can be anything we can style it any way we want to. For example, instead of having the layout like this, why don't we just make a regular table layout where the dog, cat and lion will be down here with the images going down, and instead of it just being a proper blocked rectangular grid, we can have it as just effectively what it looks like a cross, where the headers would be underlined and the images would be separate from the rows. Now this may not make too much sense, but when I demonstrate it, it should become a lot more clear. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start to include more rows. Within these rows, they're going to have some table headers, which will be which will effectively be these. And let's open up our hello.html again, and as you can see here, we've got row 2, and then we've got dog, cat, line down here. Let's go ahead and remove the row 2. And what we can see here is that currently our row 1, we've now got 5 rows. So we've got row 1, dog, cat, lion, and then we've got these 3 images, and then dog, cat, lion down here. However, we want the dog to be in line with the dog, the cat to be in line with the cat, and the lion to be in line with the lion. How do we do this? Then all we're going to simply do is we're going to take the image sources from the second row and paste them in to the correct place accordingly. Once you've done this, again, save it, and let's open up our hello.html, and as you can see now, we've got our dog, our cat, and our lion all in line with the corresponding pictures. However, we don't want these columns to be here anymore, so we can just go ahead and remove them as well. Once we've done this, open it up, and as you can see here, now we've got my favorite animals, and we've got dog, cat, and lion, perfectly in line vertically. As a result from this, we could then add following dog images and then cat images and then lion images if you wanted, and you could effectively start to make up a photo gallery that way. Another way you can make a photo, or another way you can make a different kind of table is by removing pretty much most of what is going on here. We're going to do this by first of all removing the border and the background style. However, we will keep the color to be green, so we can say style is equal to color green. Okay, now if we open this up again, then all we have now is a very stock kind of table. So it's got 3 different pictures of different sizes, and it's got dog, cat and lion here. From here, we're also going to include another styling, and we're going to call this one border collapse. And we're going to set this equal to collapse. What this will do is it will kind of realign the way the table is going to be formed in a different kind of format. Okay, so again, as of now, this will not be visible. Once we've started to fully develop our table, then it will become significantly more visible. So let's save this and open up our hello.html. And it looks pretty much identical. Now, let's say we wanted to make a table that only shows us the one column separating the text from the pictures and one separating the main headers. This can also be done. The first thing I want to do is I want to change the color of my favorite animals to something else. So let's just say style. So now we can definitely see that the color of the writing for my favorite animals will be blue. Okay, so we've got dog, cat and lion in green, and we've got my favorite animals in blue, as you should already know how to do this if you've been watching my previous videos. So what we're going to do is we want to effectively create a colored line that will separate dog from the actual picture of the dog, cat from the picture of the cat, and lion from the picture of the lion. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is click on dog, or on the table header of dog. And on here, we're going to be creating a new style attribute, and this is going to be called border right. And border right is going to have a particular pixel value, or it can be a percentage value. So we're going to say 2 pixels, and then we're going to assign it a color. So we're going to say solid black for now. As soon as I do this, if I click on Hello World, there will be a nice defining thick line between dog and the husky. Similarly, I can do the exact same thing for the cat and the lion. Save it and open it up. And here we go. Now we've got a very defined black line, which is thick, and it clearly separates the dog from the picture, the cat from the picture, and the lion from the picture. Now we also want to separate my favorite animals from everything else as well. So we can assign that we can do a very similar process now. What we're going to do is on my favorite animals, as this is another styling attribute that we're going to be using, all we can do is just copy and paste in what we already have, and we're going to remove the style because we don't need that, and we're just going to put a semicolon to separate everything. So we've got style, color blue, and then border right, 2 pixels solid black. However, the problem we're going to face now is, well, the border is going to be to the right again of the actual text. It's going to be over here. We don't want this vertical line. What we simply want is a horizontal line. So instead of having border right, we're going to have border bottom. And we're going to go ahead, save this and open it up. And as you can see here, we have now successfully put in a table which has got the lion, the cat and the dog, which has been separated from the pictures. And the My Favorite Animal section has also been separated from the pictures and the other pieces of text. You could also go ahead and add some padding in to make, because the dog is very close to the lion, the cat's very close to the lion, so as is the lion. So what we could do is we could go ahead and add some padding into these images. Now one of the ways we're going to do this, and depending on how it looks, I mean, we may just let it stick. So for example, over here in our TH style, we've got the border right as 2 pixels solid black for the name lion. What we can then do is have a padding which will be of, let's say, 5 pixels, which will give the padding around the object 5 pixels in all directions. Now if I save this and open up my hello.html, as you can see, it's now, the padding is quite clearly taken effect, as there is a lot more space between, there's 5 pixels space between cat and lion, between cat and the picture, between lion in the picture and dog in the picture as well. And that's just coincidence. I mean, if I wanted to do it properly, then I would put my padding here as well. So I'm just going to go ahead and save it, reopen it, and now these have all been perfectly aligned with 5 pixels of padding in all directions. Okay, now this looks pretty much identical, so not much has really changed. However, from the original one to the new one, it has now changed quite dramatically. So starting from the first part that we had our initial table here. We then applied a border to it. We then applied a background color and some text stylings to it. We then decided to change the columns, so instead of having 3 columns, we decided to have 3 rows and 1 column. Such as this. And we slowly got rid of all of the columns apart from the main top one, before removing it, and then we started to add in our different stylings accordingly until our new table is fully done. So this is just one of the ways you can make a table. This is just one example of a table that you can make. Now there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different tables that you can make if you wanted to. For example, I could have had a border bottom over here and here to separate the different kinds of animals. So for example, I could just put it in here and here, save it, and when I reopen it, well, now I'll have 3 separate bits over here to separate the dog, the cat, and the lion. So there are hundreds and hundreds of different ways that you can style a table, how you can create a table, and how you can manipulate the table. So for example, all I've done here now is I've created a black line to separate just the pieces of text from the images and the pieces of text individually, which looks a bit nicer actually. So for that, all I had to do was, in my TH style, I just had to add another border bottom for the actual header of the border. Okay, so like I said, there are many ways you can do this, and you should definitely fiddle around with it, play around with it, and see what you can kind of come up with. Because for different websites, different tables would look more appropriate. Some of them would look a lot nicer than others. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this video, then please feel free to like it down below. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.